This is one of those blasters I've been patiently waiting for since Toy Fair 2019. It was really the only thing from BuzzBee Toys that caught my eye. We have things like the Mutator and stuff like that. I wasn't that interested in those. I kind of seen it before sort of thing. But the Ball Blaster, it's an air blaster. And it's not like what you would expect an air blaster to be. You would expect to be like a tube that you blow and put a dart in and blow air through. It doesn't exactly do that. It's actually an air pump. And it's called the Blow Blaster. And I gotta say, the way this thing works is so bizarre and so cool and so much fun that I've invented an entire new game mode around misusing this thing. And since it's such a cheap blaster for $5, this one was picked up from Dollar General. I don't have any of those around here, but I bought it online. I'm sure they'll be available a lot of places really soon. One has to ask, what exactly could go wrong with this thing? Two pumps, one breath, blasts up to 100 feet. I have nothing to say to that, but giggity. There's going to be a lot of those. It comes with long distance darts with improved velocity. They're the standard kind of BuzzBee darts they're okay. They're not great. They're better than Elite darts, but they're definitely not good. They have a tendency to kind of curve sharply in one direction after a little bit. And yes, it is actually called the Blow Blaster. That is just funny, and it's actually interesting because think of like California, right? You're not allowed to buy blowguns, like even toy ones. This technically isn't a blowgun because it isn't a tube that you blow air through to launch a dart out like the Nerf Silent Strike or whatever that thing was. It works in a completely different way, which is weird. It's actually a pump and an air tank, and you use your breath to hit the button to release the air and launch the dart out. Which is great for asthmatics like me, but that's just bizarre. Comes with a dart holder on the back of the box that shows you exactly how you're going to use this thing. Operating instructions: load dart as shown. Don't load it any other way. Hold blaster vertical, it doesn't exactly matter, as shown, and pump 2 times to build up pressure. Giggity. With Blow Blaster in extended position, giggity. Aim and blow air fast. I've read that like 4 times and it's still hilarious. Into the blaster to launch dart as shown. They're very keen on this as shown. And dart holder instructions. Dart holder will hold 6 darts and clip on blaster for easy carrying. And again, Blow Blaster. 2 pumps, 1 breath, blasts up to 100 feet. I can't believe BuzzBee put that on the box. And yes, it's got a barrel, a mouthpiece, a dart holder, and some... Well, I like BuzzBee's art, actually. It's pretty darn good, so kudos to the artist for that one. It's not like a weird, creepy picture of a kid. It's some, well, weird, creepy picture of a dude in some kind of sci-fi dystopian thing. Whatever. Warning, do not point blaster at people or animals. Do not put any objects other than the foam darts provided into the blaster. Do not attempt to modify the darts or blaster in any way. Do not aim at eyes or face. All of the packaging material must be removed by an adult. Unload the dart blaster when not in use. Blaster performance was tested and evaluated continuously. Actual firing distance may vary based on blaster and dart conditions as well as other external factors. So basically anything will stop this dart from not going as far as it should. And questions, comments, please call that number or check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Ask a parent or guardian before going online. BuzzBee Toys. Yes, it's the Blow Blaster. Let's get this thing out of the box because it is relatively a simple, painless unboxing. You just kind of go like that, and then like that, and hey, you got a new blaster. And then, of course, the darts, which you're probably just going to rip the package apart like an animal, and then remove its tape, and we got darts and everything everywhere, and it's a Blow Blaster! Yeah. So you've got this little thing right here that holds darts. It does actually hold them, but it it doesn't hold them all that well. So probably not going to get a whole lot of use out of that, but it does clip onto the blaster. Right here in front of these ridges is probably the best bet because it won't like wiggle around. You can, of course, clip it pretty much anywhere else on this tube, but yeah, it's not very hard to put off. But, however, maybe having 2 of these things on there, kind of like that, maybe you had 2 blow blasters and then lining them up and then sticking a dart in there Yeah, that actually holds them a lot better. So if you're going to actually use this thing, although it doesn't have any kind of... Oh, I missed one of the... Oh well, I can hold 5 on there. If you're actually going to use this thing as like a secondary... Like, there's no place to clip anything, which is kind of a sad story, but if you're going to actually use this thing as a stalwart secondary, you have some way to like clip it in your gear or something, like pull it out and be ready to use it, it's probably good if you buy at least 2 of them, because that holds darts a lot better. But of course it only comes with 1, and that's what we're going to focus on. And yeah, it's the Blow Blaster. How is this thing going to work? Well, you probably already figured it out from the instructions, but you pump it up like so, and it really only takes 2 pumps. The third one, as you can see, I can't actually really pump it that much, but we'll tease it down so it's loaded, it's primed right now. And then you take one of the darts and you shove it in the barrel like that. The dart fit is exceptionally tight on this thing, which is good because it's going to need all the help it can get. Then you extend the Blow Blaster, and then what you're going to do is you're going to blow in the mouthpiece, and what that's going to do, we'll just take this and kind of jam that in there to kind of show what's going on. It will let go of this little piece of black plastic, and that's actually what will slam forward and hit your blast button, which releases the air in the air tank that we built up by pumping it and launch the dart out the barrel. Really weird how they do that. And then this also provides the seal for the pump, so when you pump it back like this, now the entire thing is sealed and it will build up air pressure. There's actually some little holes right there for air release, but yeah, this thing is just bizarre, and it does work. Quite violently, I might add. This thing hits like 70, 75 FPS at high 60s sometimes as well, but it's not a slouch. It's not great, but it's not a slouch. And mod potential wise, well, yes, it's an air tank, but the way this thing works, because obviously the pump is this right here. How exactly are you going to transplant that into anything? And then how exactly are you going to make it so it will still seal and also be able to hit the blast button? Lots of complications there, although I'm sure some creative people will figure something out. That being said, removing the air restrictor, because yes, there is an air restrictor in this barrel, and possibly brassing the barrel for a little bit extra friction, that might help a little bit in making this thing a little bit better. It does advertise up to 100-foot ranges. That's like downhill with a tailwind, but it's still pretty good. It's definitely a serviceable stock blaster for $5. Now the question is, what about this mechanism makes it so interesting to me, and how did I invent an entire new game mode involving the BuzzBee Blow Blaster that would be any interesting at all? And the fact of the matter is that, well, it does do that, and it does have a little thing. And so I kind of sat there and I was like, there's got to be a way I can like flick this thing out, right? And it will not only extend out the blaster, but also detonate. And in fact, you can do that if you were to pump this. Get rid of that before something bad happens, and then put a dart in there, and there's a very specific way I found that you can flick it, but yeah, you can't actually just straight whip this thing out and it will hit that and fling the dart. And that just reminded me of some wizard shenanigans. So I decided to invent a game called Tagium Walcomos. That's the best I could do. Go ahead and yell at me in the comment section. I really don't know a lot about like Harry Potter and stuff like that, but it was appropriate at the time, okay? And the reason why this game mode is interesting is because it actually takes a lot of skill to not only, like, there's a certain way that you can flick this thing that I can demonstrate in the video on Tagium Walcomos, mind you. I don't have somebody here to tag right now, so I'm just kind of giving you the basics. Of course, I haven't even figured out concrete rules, but I've been thinking on it. That will allow you to, every single time, have a dart fly out the barrel. However, being able to stop yourself and hit somebody accurately with this thing, especially at range, that's an entire different story. And that's where the game mode gets fun, because you've got people desperately trying to hit each other with darts in a way that is not just like pulling a trigger and pointing it or blowing into the back of this thing, because that would be really easy, obviously. No, we gotta do it really stylishly and really fun. And if you get good at it, honestly, you can imagine just drawing this thing and then just flipping it and hitting somebody with it. And I've been practicing. You can get good with it. And it's just a ton of fun. This is just a ton of fun in such a small, cheap package, and it is serviceable as a blaster. Not very much mod potential, but I mean, people are gonna be buying stuff like the Alpha Strike line and saying how great that is for $5. BuzzBee, where it's at, super fun, super effective. I like this thing a lot. I bought a couple of them. I have a couple more in package too. This one I've actually modified. you can see how easily that thing pumps now. I actually used a different lubricant in this one, which will allow me to very easily break the collar on it by hitting it against the... Well, that's a mistake and a disappointment. Didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Still works. Dang it. You get the idea, though. I just replaced the lubricant, so now it's like super easy to guide and stuff like that, and really easy to make it flick. And like this one is a brand new one as well. It's a little bit harder. This one is much easier. I gotta stop breaking things on camera, man. Especially this one, it was like my favorite one. I had a lot of fun. I've been practicing over and over with this thing. I did find out that after a while it will kind of wear out the lubricant, especially if you're blowing into it. It worked, but it wasn't as smooth as that. So, yeah, I used a water-based lubricant to kind of make that work better, and I guess you don't need this collar there. In fact, I guess you don't need it at all. I could trim it down. Maybe it was just like a comfort for your hand or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I like the Blow Blaster. We'll talk more about the little game mode invented as I have somebody else to play against and I can come up with some concrete rules. I have some ideas right now, but you get the idea. I just wanted to kind of put it out there. This thing's a lot of fun. I highly recommend picking up a couple, and hopefully, if all goes well, you'll actually be able to participate in the first official championship of this game mode at Ragnaroktoberfest 2019. That's the idea anyway. I've already talked to people about it, and it seems like it's gonna be a thing. So, otherwise, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta